Welcome to Ask Anita. I'm Anita, and let's get into it. The questions on the show come from real people in real situations friends, family, community members, and listeners who submit through the link in the show notes. It doesn't matter how they reach me, the names are always protected, the questions are always real. If something has been sitting on your mind, that link is in the show notes. Today's question comes from someone I'm calling Married to Dad Logic. And I want to say right up front, this episode is coming out the week of Father's Day. And I thought long and hard about what to do with that. I could do something sweet, something touchy, something that would make you tear up a little. And then I thought, you know what would actually honor every single dad out there? The truth. The full, specific, hilarious truth about how dads operate. Because if you've ever lived with one or grown up with one or loved one, you know that dad logic is its own language. It makes no sense and it's completely consistent. This one's for all of them. Now, here's the question. Anita, my husband is a wonderful father and I love him completely. He also operates on a logic system that I have spent years trying to understand, and I'm no closer than when I started. It is not wrong exactly. It's just its own thing. My question is this just my house or is dad logic a universal phenomenon? Because some of these stories I cannot even tell without laughing, and I just need to know it isn't just us. Married to dad logic. It is not just your house. I want you to know that immediately because what you are describing is something women all over this country are nodding along to right now. Dad logic is real. It is documented, it has been happening in households for generations, and it shows no sign of stopping. And I want to start with the most universal example of dad logic that exists. Ready? Dad made dinner. Dad fired up the grill, he seasoned the meat, he stood outside with the spatula and a sense of purpose, and he put the meat on the grill, and he watched it, and he flipped it at exactly the right moment, and he brought it inside on a platter. Dad made dinner. Meanwhile, Mom made the salad, Mom boiled the corn, Mom made the potato salad that took 45 minutes, Mom set the table, got out the condiments, made sure that there were enough napkins, refilled everybody's drinks, and cleaned up afterwards. But Dad made dinner. And Dad is genuinely proud of it. And honestly, you're going to let him have it because the meat was really good. Now, let me tell you about my daughter and her school shopping situation. Because this is dad logic applied to finance, and it is a masterclass. We had done the back to school shopping, spent a lot of money, but she wanted a few more things to finish it out, and she came to me and said she needed a couple $100s. I told her, hey, I'm tapped out. You are going to have to ask your dad. So she walked into the other room and asked him for $500. Now I want you to understand the math here. I told her I was tapped out at a couple hundred. She walked directly to her father and doubled it. And what followed was a full speech. He went on about how much he had already spent, how he couldn't believe she still needed more, the whole thing. He made his case. She stood there, listened quietly to every word of it, and he was done. So he finally gave her $200, and she walked back in, $200 in hand, completely satisfied. She didn't argue. She didn't negotiate. She knew exactly what she was doing when she walked in and asked for $500 because she knew he was going to say no to $500 and yes to the $200. Dad logic. She had it figured out long before he did. Here's another example of dad logic that I think about often. When our kids were small, my husband decided to take all three of them out on the boat with him. He was going fishing. He got all three of them ready, life jackets on, made each of them a little pallet, blankets, pillows right there in the boat. They were all set. He headed out to his favorite fishing spot, and the kids, as small children do when they are rocking gently on the water at 6 a.m, fell asleep. All three of them. And he fished for hours in complete peace and quiet. When they started waking up, he handed each of them a treat, finished his last cast, and headed home. He came back with fish and 3 well-rested children who each had a snack. By every measure available to him, that was a great day out with the kids. And he was not wrong. The kids had a great time. They were on a boat. They got a treat. Dad took them fishing. That is the story they grew up with. The fact that they slept through most of it is a detail that Dad and I see very differently. And then there is what happened with our dog. When we got her, she was kennel trained, slept in her kennel every night, had her little heartbeat toy, her blankets, her bed. She was perfectly happy. Did this for months without a single problem. And then I had to go stay with my aunt for a couple of nights to help her after a procedure. I came home, got ready for bed, went to put the dog in her kennel, and she wanted absolutely no part of it. She jumped right up on the bed. I looked at my husband and said, "What's going on?" And he said, "She was lonely when you were gone. So she just slept with me. 2 nights. 6 months of kennel training gone because she was lonely. Our dog has slept in our bed every single night since. The kennel is still there. It's decorative at this point. Dad logic strikes again. And honestly, the dog seems pretty happy about it." So to answer your question, no, it's not just your house. Dad logic is universal. It crosses zip codes and time zones and generations. It has been operating in homes since the beginning of time, and it's not going anywhere. And here's the thing I want you to hold on to. These stories that make no sense in the moment, they are the ones you are still telling 30 years later. The negotiation, the fishing trip, the dog who is now in your bed because someone couldn't handle 2 nights of sad eyes. These are the moments that become family legend. Not because they made sense, because they were so completely, specifically him. Dad logic is not wrong. It is just its own language. And if you have loved someone who speaks it, you know that buried somewhere inside every single one of those stories is a person who was just trying to take care of his people in the most dad way possible. Happy Father's Day to every single one of them. And remember, be honest, be kind, and when you look in that mirror tonight, make sure you like who's looking back at you. I'll see you Tuesday.